I think I give people the benefit of the doubt a couple of times, and then if they're mugging me off, then I'm like, this has crossed a boundary of mine.
Where do we begin? There's so much to talk about, but I guess the easiest place to start is obviously we saw you leave the Maseria last. Well, I was going to say last week. I guess it's time is not real anymore. We saw you leave the Maseria recently, and we've now seen everything filmed in Italy is now out there. How are you feeling now that that part of the show is over?
I feel good, like it's such a funny thing to watch it back, and like obviously it was filmed ages ago now, and like I feel good. It's very interesting, like watching the whole process of the show going through. I feel like I could see a complete change in myself. I had no idea that I was gonna change like that. And the gag is, I went in thinking I was really confident, and then I was like, shit, maybe not so confident as I thought. So yeah, it's a funny thing. It's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely.
It's interesting because when you say you watched it back and don't think you were that confident, I feel the opposite about you. I actually think you come across as very confident. I understand where you are maybe. Look, we all look at ourselves differently. I can only imagine how I would feel if I was watching myself on this show. But the reason I say that is because something that I found quite admirable about you throughout the process is when you felt that some of the boys maybe weren't treating you in the way that they should be, you made that aware very fast. Okay, you didn't hide how you were feeling about that. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what you learned watching from watching yourself date?
Uh, I I learned that, yes. Do you know what? You're right. Like part of that, like I think I say it how it is. I think I give people the benefit of the doubt a couple of times, and then if they're mugging me off, then I'm like, this has crossed a boundary of mine. I think what I've learned is like, um, no one's gonna hand anything to you on a plate. Like, if you want something, you have to go out there and get it. And then when we're in the Masseria, when I was with Ruben, I was handed that on a plate, and I was so in my head about, and he's a very good looking person. You can't deny that. And I really wanted to make it work, and it just something wasn't clicking, and like it got to the point where I was like, right, enough is enough. I'm gonna take the power back, and I'm gonna, break up with it. um, and then I suppose like I learned from that experience, because then I went in with Justin. I was thinking, God, like, and bless Justin. I love Justin so much, but he made some silly mistakes, and I just thought, well, actually, you're not going to treat me like this. And I think being in that environment of going in first in the original cast, you learn the environment, you learn kind of the process, and you're ready to go for it. So I think when Justin was flirting in front of me with Ruben, I just thought, enough is enough. I've had enough of this now. Like, I know my self worth, and that's the thing that I've learned is my self worth. I would say, which is fabulous.
That's definitely look. Listen, you may not have left with someone from the show, but I think that's a really really important thing to take away from it. Because I think listen, if I had watched what you watched, I can only imagine my own reaction. Let's just say that. So I understand. I understand it. Something that I think we all should talk about is, so as you mentioned there, you paired with Ruben at the beginning, and then you explored connections with a few other people, mainly Justin and Alex. How did you find navigating the speed at which things moved in the Masseria? Did you feel like it was going quicker than in the real world, slower? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, there's no doubt that it was going quicker. Like, and you had to be quick. Like you never knew. You never know. Well, you don't know the routine of the show really. Like, it is very much like this is what you're doing on the day, and you have to work with it. You have to apply yourself. Um, at first, I thought that was quite hard, because I was like, I'm here to find a boyfriend, and I was there to find a boyfriend. Um, but then there was challenges, and then there was kiss offs and things like that, and it's a pressure cooker. Like, you're thrown into it. You don't know what's coming up, so you just have to go for it. You have to apply yourself because otherwise you might be sent home.
Well,
And I was.
but it's funny, isn't it? Because you're again was going to get to this later, but since it's up in convo, let's just dive straight in. You know, your elimination, because yours was an actual elimination. Yours wasn't like a kiss off or anything. You were removed. What was that like for you? Did you see that coming at all with that chemistry test, and just how did it feel to have that so suddenly happen?
I remember like walking up to the chemistry test and like I kind of guessed what it was because we've seen it in the previous season of the girls. And I kind of knew what was going to happen, and I think me and Alex knew ourselves. Like we only had like a day to really get to know each other, and we were the least compatible. And I'm a big believer in like, and you might this is funny, but I'm a big believer in like the universe, and like it wasn't right, and I was not going to force anything. I wasn't going to pretend. Like I didn't pretend throughout the whole thing. Like and yeah, I just thought, well, this is my time now. Like I've given it a go, and I really gave it my all, and you know, see ya.
I will say, as a viewer, it was quite disappointing to see when you left because I totally hear you on what you were saying, how you felt about it. But I think for me as a viewer, it felt like you still had more to give and more to explore. Certainly with Alex as well, because as you said, it had only been like a day or so. Um, did you feel like when you left the Maseria, there was still potential for you and Alex to explore it, or were you kind of just like, do you know what? If it wasn't going to be while we're in here, then that's the end of that. Bye. How are you feeling?
Me and Alex did explore it. It was very short lived, and yeah, there was nothing to it. We're really good friends, and we respect each other, and we enjoy each other's company. But yeah, there was nothing to it really. I would say it was just a little flirtation and a
A little bit of something.
little bit of something. Yeah,
On a more serious note, something that the Kister, I don't know what to call the franchise. I'm just gonna say a Kister someone franchise has been
yeah.
so amazing for is like authentic queer representation that isn't focused just on negative stories, that is really uplifting, that still has elements of the negative because that's a real part of our experience, but also is really educating even the queer community, because I think within our own community there's still so much ignorance as to around so many different topics. And obviously in episode 3 we saw you share with the boys about living with HIV and what that's really like in 2025, because a lot of people are really, really still ignorant to that. Firstly, what was it like for you to share that and have such a positive response from the cast?
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, I can't even, when people ask me about like describing the moment, I can't even like do it justice because prior to that moment, I had told people, like, I had told people that I slept with or my friends, my family, like, I had told people, but I had never told a group of gay men all at once in that kind of environment. So it really was the first thing for me. So I mean, I was incredibly nervous and anxious. I didn't really know how they were going to respond, but when they did when I did share it, and when it honestly, it was such a release of emotion for me, a release of like years of thinking that I was like dirty, or years of thinking I was not worthy and all of that. And just it was just full of love. Like they really responded, and it was full of love and support. I'm
Mm.
really grateful. And not only, and it wasn't just only the boys. Like obviously the viewer can only sees the cast, but it was all of production as well. Like I've never felt so much queer love and queer support before, and yeah, it was so lovely. And actually, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Holly, but I'm gonna say it, and then you can edit it out. But when I told the boys, we had that moment that you see that's very organic to how it was. Actually, I feel like the show's really done it justice. But then there was also a moment where me and Jazz went to the secret garden, and it was so sweet. We were sat there, and we were both crying, and like he was talking to me about therapy and like self-worth and everything, and it was such a beautiful moment. And yeah, like that whole moment of telling the boys and Jazz and everyone, I would just hold really
Mm.
close to my heart for the rest of my life. It was amazing, to be honest. Yeah.
Something within that discussion that I think, for context, I've been working on HIV reporting for my entire career, and I think something that I forget at times is that there are certain things that, to me, and I'm sure to you as well, we just understand are like the wrong ways of speaking or the wrong ways of, understanding what HIV is in 2025. And I think one of the most powerful aspects of that discussion was around that question of are you clean? Because it's so common still. And I think so many people don't understand how toxic and quite nasty it is. Um,
Yeah.
what is the importance, Adam, of having something like that air on something as major as the BBC on a show that is so positive for our community?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think it goes back to like if people aren't talking about something, then they're not thinking about something. So having the discussion about using the words "Are you clean?" on your dating profile, or just actually just in general life, like you would say it like, "Oh God, are you clean?" Like, um, I think it's so important. It reunites having that conversation, having understanding about having HIV, but also other, STIs, and it goes further than just talking about HIV. It's like a way of respecting other people and leading with kindness. Really, I would say. And I don't think, like, and I was like privy to talking like that before my diagnosis. I didn't realize that was a bad thing because no one had ever spoken about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just about having that conversation and keeping like education going, I suppose.
Yeah, I think, Adam, it's crazy because even now, things like what you're describing aren't even really taught in schools. They're not something that, as a gay man myself, like I remember up until the age of, I think I was 20, believing I could just get HIV from kissing another guy. And I believed that was going to happen. I just remember being like, I'm going to get HIV and that is what it is because I'm a gay man. And I remember I had this colleague who was older than me and was like, Connor, calm down. Like, it's actually nothing like that. And I went to Dean Street for the first time and I was like, oh, I was like, but this is really why these shows are so important because there are going to be people out there watching that discussion you've had with a similar mindset even without any of the problematic language, who just will be worried about something like this that actually they don't need to be.
I've had quite a lot of responses as well about that, and all of the responses, well, the majority of the responses have been like, "Thank you so much for saying that," because I had no idea what kind of like what gravitas that held in that. So yeah, it's working, which is nice.
And look, I usually ask this at the very end, but I think now probably is the more fitting time.
Yeah.
With the show coming to an end soon, what are you hoping to achieve after this? Are you going to continue your work in HIV activism?
I think so. I would love to continue my work in HIV activism. I don't really know what that looks like, and I'm open. Like I'm open. I do think it's really important to show people that they can live a normal and healthy life having HIV, and it really doesn't define you at all. Um, I just don't know what that work looks like currently, but I'm excited.
So you recently filmed the reunion, and that was obviously quite a few months after the show had wrapped. What was it like for you to be around all the other boys again talking about the show?
No, I love the boys. I love this group of boys. Like, um, yeah. I mean, I've hosted regular dinner parties. We've done things together. Like the majority are like my best friends. Like it really is like a solid unit, and we have stayed very close together. Um, I am kind of the person that is in the middle of all of the groups and like all of the. So I just like float between all of these people. But yeah, I love them so much, and doing the reunion with them was it was nice, but there's a wee bit of drama. But overall, it was great. I love seeing them, and it's just warms my heart.
Look, I know we can't give This I can't.
Ah, you want a
No, no,
spoiler?
no. Don't worry. No spoilers allowed. But how would you describe the reunion in maybe like a sentence or a few words?
How would I describe the reunion? Like heartwarming, a little bit shocking, and I would just say like if you think you know what it's going to be like, you're
Mhm.
wrong. There's a lot of surprises.
And then Adam, listen, something to end on, which I haven't actually asked any of the other boys, but I did ask the girls last year, and has just entered my head for some reason with you. We'll ask it and see
Oh
how you
God, what is
is.
this?
Would you ever do it again if there was like an All Star season or like a return? You know what I mean? Some kind of theme. Would you do it again?
Oh, oh, that's a good
If you're still
question.
single, I mean, obviously you can't give too much away.
I should be bloody married soon, to be honest, but I need to find someone first. Would I do it again? Yeah, I think I would do it again if there was like an all-star season, but I would absolutely come in as the bombshell. I would I would make sure that is written in the contract. Like bombshell. We'll see. We'll see.
Who
You
knows?
know? Who
Listen,
knows?